My name is Alara Vance. I'm 34, and I've built a life that is unapologetically mine. I'm a senior financial strategist in Austin, Texas, at a global investment firm, and I earn a salary I once thought only existed in movies. But to understand the weight of that success, you have to know where I started. At the age of 10, my world shattered. My mother, Lydia Shore, walked out on my dad and me after their divorce, leaving us with a crumbling house and a stack of overdue bills in a small town in Michigan. She chose a new life, a new man, and left her old life, us, behind. I worked 3 jobs from the time I was 14, fought for every grade, every scholarship, and vowed I'd never be that vulnerable again. I thought I'd finally buried that pain under layers of achievement. Then, one scorching summer evening, it all came crashing back. A key turning in my front door, a key I never gave her, brought my past and the woman who abandoned me into my million-dollar view. My mother had somehow tracked my success, and she showed up with my spoiled, deadbeat half-brother demanding a piece of my fortune. Their words weren't just a request, they were an assault, bold, shameless, and reeking of entitlement. This wasn't about money, it was a calculated act of betrayal that cut deeper than the original abandonment. How far would they go to loot the life I built? And what dark secrets were they hiding to justify their brazen demand? I was about to find out, and it would test everything I thought I knew about the meaning of family. I grew up in Flint, Michigan, and my life changed forever the night my mother, Lydia, left. She packed a single suitcase and vanished. My dad, Arthur Vance, told me later she'd run off with a man who promised her an easier life. The divorce left us with nothing but the dust motes dancing in the meager light of our dilapidated house. Dad poured his life into keeping us afloat. He managed a little hardware store, working until his hands bled. Some days, he brought home so little I could practically hear the unpaid bills mocking us from the kitchen table. He was exhausted, but he was my rock. By 14, I couldn't stand it anymore. I started bussing tables, then working an overnight shift stocking shelves at a big box store, studying for my advanced classes during my breaks. Every dollar went to Dad. He'd argue, his voice thick with a mix of pride and worry, but I was determined. It was my defense against the hole my mother left. School became my weapon. I stayed late for math club, drowning out the ache of my mother's absence with the perfect logic of equations. I was going to use my mind to build a firewall against poverty. By senior year, I had a laser focus, data science and finance. I won a full scholarship to a top university in Chicago, and that was my golden ticket. But even with tuition covered, the financial struggle was relentless. I worked 3 jobs simultaneously, waiting tables, cleaning offices at dawn, and tutoring statistics on weekends. I was running on fumes and caffeine, but my will was steel. By graduation, I had a stacked resume and an offer from a prestigious firm in Austin, Texas. Moving here was more than a career move. It was an escape to a fortress of my own making. In Austin, I became a force. Within 5 years, I was managing millions for clients, making 6 figures that dwarfed my father's lifetime earnings. I never forgot him. Once I was stable, I sent him a wire transfer every month, paying off the store's mortgage and upgrading his ancient, sputtering pickup truck. He always cried a little, his voice cracking with pride, calling me his miracle. Those moments were my real bonus. My mother, though, she was a ghost who sent one yearly, cold-as-ice birthday card. "Hope you're well, L." That was it. No calls, no apologies, just a hollow reminder of the woman who didn't care. Then came that summer evening. I was on a video call, preparing for a big presentation, when I heard the unmistakable sound of a key in my front door lock. I had a security code on my app, and my blood ran cold. I ran to the door and found Lydia standing there, a cheap synthetic smile plastered on her face. and next to her, my half-brother, Keon Grant, a man I'd never met, slouched and scrolling on his phone. "Alara, my sweet girl," she gushed, pulling me into a hug that felt like a trap. I stayed rigid. We sat in my living room, overlooking the twinkling skyline of Austin. Her eyes, sharp and predatory, were scanning everything: the custom artwork, the Italian leather sofa, the view. Then she dropped the bomb. "I hear you're absolutely minted, Alara. Keon's starting college soon. Private tuition, $75,000 a year. We need your help. Just a little contribution of $5,000 a month to stabilize us." I froze. The numbers were astronomical, but the sheer audacity was the real shock. Keon finally looked up from his phone, a sneer twisting his mouth. "This place is decent, but honestly, for a millionaire, it's tiny. You could buy me a much better car to fit in at school." My silence stretched. This wasn't a reunion. It was a hostile takeover attempt. I asked them, my voice a deadly calm, "How did you get a key, and how did you know my exact income?" Lydia waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, an old friend. Family helps, right?" The word family felt like a lie. I told them I needed time, that $75,000 wasn't pocket change. Lydia's smile evaporated. Keon scoffed, muttering something about me being a stingy bitch. They left soon after, Lydia's parting words chilling. "You'll be hearing from us, Alara. Don't make this difficult." The next morning, I agreed to meet them at a public cafe, a cold, neutral territory. I wanted a real answer, a true explanation for her absence. Lydia started her performance. "Your father was the problem. He made it impossible for me to stay in touch. He poisoned you against me." I stayed silent, letting her weave her pathetic, self-pitying tale. She painted herself as a victim, desperate, implying that only my money could save her. "Keon needs a start," she pleaded. "He needs a nice car, too, to be on the right college track. A new Mercedes, maybe $50,000, and a laptop that's not trash." My blood boiled. "You're asking for a $50,000 luxury car on top of $75,000 in tuition? I worked for every penny I have. You and Dad had nothing after you left. I am not your ATM." Lydia's mask cracked. Her face turned venomous. "You are so selfish. I gave you life, and this is how you repay me?" I slammed my coffee cup down. "You left me in a diner booth when I was 10. Don't you dare try to twist this into my debt. Get out of my life." I stood up, fury and 10 years of pain pouring out. I walked out, leaving their screaming voices behind. I thought that was the end, but that afternoon, they rang my buzzer. I opened the door to find them again, Lydia's smile a forced, brittle thing. I let them in, my guard at maximum. I left them alone for a minute to get a glass of water. When I returned, Keon was at my home office desk, and my laptop screen was glowing. He was in my browser, with a tab open to my investment firm's login page. "What the hell are you doing?" I roared, lunging for the laptop. Keon shrugged, utterly unbothered. "Just checking it out. You've got so much. Why hide it?" My hands were shaking as I snatched the laptop. Then I saw it, a tiny window logged into my dad's old, rarely used email account. And there, forwarded to my mother's address, was the employment confirmation letter I'd sent Dad a year ago, with my exact salary and bonus structure. "You hacked Dad's email," I stated, the realization a cold, hard knot in my chest. Lydia didn't deny it. Instead, she spat, "Your dad's a failure, Alara. That pathetic hardware store, dragging you down with him. I had to know how you turned out so well." Keon snickered in agreement. The cruelty against the only parent who ever loved me snapped my last thread of patience. I grabbed my phone. "Get out, now, or I call the police for attempted wire fraud and unlawful entry." Lydia's face went white. She grabbed Keon and practically dragged him out. "You'll regret this, Alara," she hissed through the door as she slammed it shut. I immediately locked down all my accounts and called my father. He confirmed his email had been breached weeks ago. He was hurt, but not surprised. "That's Lydia," he sighed. "She only ever cared about what she could take." I hired a lawyer immediately. Within days, we filed for an ex-parte temporary restraining order against both of them. We presented the evidence, the unauthorized entry, the login attempts, the hacked email. The judge granted the order, giving me a legal shield. But they weren't done. A week later, my bank's fraud alert system went off. Someone had tried to initiate a $15,000 wire transfer from my savings, blocked by my two-factor authentication. My mother was still digging. My financial fortress held. Over the next few months, their actions were exposed. My mother's estranged older sister, Aunt Viv, reached out to me. "Alara, Marie's been like this her whole life, lying, manipulating, only showing up when there's something to gain." Aunt Viv's honesty helped me realize her betrayal wasn't personal, it was pathological. I started seeing a grief and trauma therapist. "You carried her shame for too long," my therapist, Dr. Hayes, said in our first session. "Her choices are her failures, not yours." Inspired by my journey, I founded a small charitable fund in Austin. It offers mentorship and small seed grants to high-achieving teens from struggling single-parent households. Launching it felt like giving a hand to the girl I used to be. My dad was the first person I told. He sent me a photo of himself in front of his new garden with a sign he'd carved, "Proudest dad in the world." Family isn't blood. It's the people who show up, who stay, and who respect the boundaries you build to protect your peace. I had my father, my chosen friends, and the life I fought for, and in the end, that was more than enough. If you've ever had to cut ties with a toxic relative to save your own peace, how did you find the strength to do it? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more real-life dramas.